Good afternoon, subscribers and viewers. Today's broadcast directed at answering questions from Zimbabweans who are trying to move from the Zimbabwe exemption permits to the mainstream South African permits. You will know that we always encourage people to ask on things that they do not understand. And the question that we're mainly going to answer today is one that is inquiring about where people can get the letter from Home Affairs stating that their permits lifespan has been extended from the 31st of December 2021 to the 31st of December 2022. We've had many people inquiring about this, especially those that are working in some companies that seem to be not willing to extend their employment, or that are skeptical about the validity of the extension of the ZEP for the extra 12 months. So many people have been asking on where they can get this letter from Home Affairs. Now, what you do is you go to the Home Affairs website. It's www.dha.gov.za. www.dha.gov.za. When you get there, you go to a section at the top, very top, which is written notices. On notices, you will get at the top, at the very top, there is the Minister's Immigration Directive number 1 of 2021. That is where you will get this letter. Then you can print it and then take it to your place of employment. So that is where you can get it. And then there are also some questions that we have been receiving pertaining to the ZEP again. Now, before you can ask, so that we do not continue to answer similar questions, before you can ask some of these questions, you go to the same website of the Home Affairs as we stated earlier on. Then you go to where it's written immigration. You just hover your cursor there. Then you will see there is a drop down tab there. Then you go to gazetted extension of ZEP. That's where you can find some of the information that you need about the ZEP. There are about 7 statements that you can, or 7 documents that you can download there. Of particular interest to us is the one that is written to all Zimbabwean exemption permit holders. It's written it's written notice to all Zimbabwean nationals granted exemption in terms of 31 of section 31 bracket 2 bracket B of the Immigration Act 13 of 2002. It reads, I'm going to go through some of the things that are there so that it addresses some of the questions that we have been asked as to in relation to the Zimbabwe exemption permit. It's from the Minister of Home Affairs, if it's from the Director General, in fact, of Home Affairs, Dr. Leboani T. Makote. It was written on the 5th of January, 2022, and it says, non-extension of exemptions in terms of Section 31, bracket 2, bracket D of the Immigration Act 13 of 2002. 1, by the direction of the Minister of Home Affairs, I address this notice to all Zimbabwe nationals exemptions holders on his behalf. Kindly note that the Minister of Home Affairs exercised his powers in terms of Section 31, bracket 2, bracket D of the Immigration Act 13 of 2002, not to extend the exemptions granted in terms of Section 31, bracket 2, bracket B of the Immigration Act from 2017. The minister has also imposed a condition giving the exemption holders a period of 12 months in order to apply for one or more of the visas provided for in the Immigration Act. In other words, the permits which are due to expire on 31 December 2021 will be regarded as valid until 31 December 2022. It goes on to say the minister has issued a directive dated 29 December 2021 to the immigration services and all officials to the effect that no action to be taken against the Zimbabwean exemptions permit holders in terms of section 29, 30, 32 and 34 of the Immigration Act. This means that you are still regarded as someone who holds a valid permit for as long as the 31st of December 2022 has not lapsed. You are still a permit holder in South Africa, and you cannot be subjected to treatment that is reserved for those who do not have legal documents or who do not have permits in South Africa, which means the 90 days that some of you have been given at the border do not count for anything. You have a valid reason to be in South Africa. You're still covered by the law in terms of the minister's directive to be here until the 31st of December, during which you should be applying for the other permits that you believe you qualify for. Then on the fifth point, the exemption holders are required to make use of the 12-month period to apply for one or more of the visas set out in the Immigration Act. The minister has also directed that a special team be set up to deal with the anticipated applications for various visas by Zimbabwean nationals, which means that there is an extra team that has been specifically put in place to deal with Zimbabweans that are applying for other permits, moving from the Zimbabwe exemption permit to any other South African permit. Then point number 7 says the decision of the minister was taken due to inter alia the following reasons. So these are reasons that are being given for the discontinuation of the Zimbabwe exemption permits. On 7.1, the exemptions granted to the Zimbabwean nationals was and has always been a temporary measure pending improvement of the economic situation in Zimbabwe. In 2008, approximately 200,000 people arrived in South Africa seeking asylum. The majority of them were Zimbabwean nationals. Again, in 2009, another 207,000 arrived, also seeking asylum. Similarly, the majority of them were Zimbabwean nationals. The extensive nature of asylum applications by Zimbabwean nationals between 2008 and 2009 overwhelmed the administrative capacity of the department's Asylum Seeker Management Unit, and resources were overstretched. This status has been exacerbated by, in prevailing years, with an accumulation of appeals within the statutory bodies responsible for rejected or failed asylum applications. On 7.2, the Department of Home Affairs, DHA, has encountered limited capacity to respond to such capacity constraints by virtue of its constrained budget. This was more pronounced in 2020 with the outbreak of COVID-19 and other economic factors in South Africa. This resulted in the budget of the DHA being significantly reduced. First, in the 2020-2021 financial year, 562 million was cut during the special adjustment budget and a further 301 million during the medium-term expenditure framework. Second, in the financial year 2021 to 2022, the DHA baseline was cut by 969 million, the bulk of which was for compensation of employees, which is 671 million. The compensation of employees ceiling for 2021 to 2022 was set at 3.4 billion rands. The DHA had to prioritize the budget as the COE ceiling is insufficient to cover the existing staff complement. As matters stand, the DHA is unable to employ more staff members in the immigration services. Therefore, it had to prioritize the budget and allocate more resources to civic services, which in essence deals with the rights of South African citizens. 7.3 says, according to Statistics South Africa, quarterly labor force, quarter 2 of 2021, South Africa's unemployment rate increased by 1.8%, bringing the overall rate to 34%. This is the largest recorded since the start of QLFS in 2008. The DHA came to realize that some of the Zimbabwean exemption permits holders were violating the conditions in that about 1,900 were somehow able to apply for waivers in terms of the Immigration Act. Their applications were rejected. It goes without saying that a combination of factors led to the lawful, rational, and reasonable decision of the minister. Then in point number 9, it says, should any exemption holder have any representations to make regarding the non-extension of exemptions and the 12 months period, he or she may forward such representations to Mr. Jackson McKay, Deputy Director General, Immigration Services, on email. I'm going to read it out: ZEP in capital letters, then in small letters, inquiries at dha.gov.za, ZEP inquiries at dha.gov.za. So this is what we had for you today. You can continue sending through your questions, continue sending through requisitions for clarification, requests for clarifications, and then we're going to research about that and send through to you. But remember to go to the Home Affairs website so that when you ask from a position of knowledge, of having some little bit of knowledge. Ask based on certain issues that you do not understand there. As I have given you, there are 7 statements or downloadable documents that you can go through on your own and verse yourself with these applications. You can subscribe to this channel, continue to like our videos and share them. Thank you very much.